Okay, we're good. Hi, everybody. I'm Jackie, one of the co-founders of Positively Empowered Kids. And again, today we've got an interview with an amazing lady, Donna Chambers. She is, I've known Donna for quite a while. She was, a long time ago, two of my children's head teacher. And we've been through me being a governor, and we've just kept in touch, haven't we? So I'd love to introduce Donna, because obviously as Positively Empowered Kids, we really want to inspire and empower families. That's what we do. And so we're bringing some experts into the room to you so that you can kind of get a little bit of insight and inspiration, hopefully. So hi, Donna.
Hi, good morning.
Morning. So tell us a little bit about you.
So what about me? I was a primary teacher through and through. So I wanted to be a teacher when I was 5, and that never changed really. Became my ambition, and it's still my ambition now at nearly 50. So yeah, I always had a passion for teaching. I was a head teacher for about 13 years before I moved to London to join Her Majesty's Inspectorate. But then decided I wanted to spread my wings a bit, and did some research, interestingly enough, into parents and the role that they play in their children's lives. And I'm an executive head teacher at the moment, actually. I've got a couple of special schools that I'm looking after, so our most vulnerable children. But I think it's most important to say that, you know, I'm also a mum and a nanny. I've got 2 grandchildren, 2 grandsons as well. One of whom is whose mum says she's really glad she's got me in her life, because homeschooling has been a nightmare. But I think to say, and no, Jackie, I've said this to you before, but you know, I do know many answers as a head teacher and an educational practitioner, but, you know, I'm a mum, 3 sons and 2 stepsons, and whilst I often get it right in school, I often get it very wrong with them. So there is no answer, and I think there's probably more mistakes that we make than when we get it right.
Yeah, absolutely. And I shared the other day, and I know you like this, of a kind of a head teacher statement of the homeschool situation, because so many people are putting a lot of pressure on themselves and feeling that they're not good enough and not able to kind of educate their children very well. What would be your advice to them at this time? Because I know, you know, we're all mums here, and it is challenging. You know, I've got an 11-year-old and 2 older ones, and I'm trying to navigate it as well. So from your perspective, what would you say?
I think it's really interesting, actually, because when you're trying to educate children in a school, my first and foremost sort of statement would be, you've got to ignite the spark. Because if you don't ignite their spark, you ain't going to get them with you. And you do that in however you do it. For me, it's always been humour and being a bit daft. Has sort of been my as you know, Jackie, you've seen me in action. And I think it's exactly the same for the children, because you think of my grandson at home, he loves his animals. So, you know, don't sit down trying to get a maths problem that the teacher might have sent home with a building site. If you can do that same piece of work with his animals or in the garden, making it real, that's the thing to do. And I think the key thing is to remember, when we have children in school for 5.5 hours, they're probably educated for, I don't know, 3-4 of those, but they're educated in a class of 30 or thereabouts. So you don't have to be doing that all day long, because if I'm home tutoring, if we've got a child who's being educated at home, they'll probably get an hour and a half a day, 2 hours a day, because there's only so much children can take. So my big advice would be, think about what it is you want the child to learn today. So for example, the thing we're learning today is we're going to learn about 2D shapes. We're going to learn the names of shapes. Get them out in the garden if you've got a garden, or get them doing a treasure hunt in the house to find as many shapes. Don't try and make it a sitting at a desk kind of activity. Might be a little bit of that afterwards, because you might say, write that down for your teacher. They're going to be so impressed with all the shapes that you found. But try and make it as real as possible. So for example, one of the things I've been doing with my grandson is I've been doing a bedtime story for him, which I've loved, on video. And at the end of it, I've sort of said, oh, who was the first person Mr. Bump went to visit? Or, you know, whatever. And it's asking a question without it seeming like it's work. So it's trying to find a way. So again, you know, pretend, make it real for children. So for example, oh, quick, get a pen and paper because I've not written the shopping list today. or just go and do this, do that, the other, giving instructions. Just write those instructions down for me so that the children genuinely feel that they're helping you, rather than saying, right, we're going to sit down and write some instructions, because they'll just switch off.
Yeah, I think the difficulty is being a parent is the emotional connection, that with a school, you don't have that parental connection. You do have the love for the children. Yeah. We know that as teachers, head teachers, you've got that love for the children, but there's not that deep family emotional connection, which makes a difference when you're trying to get kids to do stuff. Absolutely.
And it would be so wrong for a parent then to become a teacher, because and I've always laughed as a mum. I had three sons, 2 stepsons. My own sons never asked for my help with their homework because I was their mum. My stepsons would walk in and say, they called me Dee, Dee, can you help me with my homework? Because it was a different relationship. So you can't change that, and you shouldn't try to change that either, because that's too confusing for children. But it's I think that one of the other options is to try and the teacher sent this piece of paper and you've got to work out what whatever it is, you've got to work out what, we've got to punctuate this sentence. Well, I can't do it, kind of thing. Guarantee the child will say, oh, mum, for goodness sake, I can do that. It's trying not to be a teacher, really.
Yeah.
Trying to pretend you don't know, because they will make that work.
That's a great idea. Great idea. Because actually, for most of the year 6 work that my daughter gets, I haven't got a clue. So actually to say, gosh, I can't work this out, can you help me? That's a real shift in how they'll respond to you.
And actually, one of the best ways that children learn is to recall what they know, because for them to recall it, they've got to regurgitate it and make sense of it. So the more you can say, I don't get that, I need you to tell me again, the more it will be instilled in their memory. And part of the new curriculum and the new, just talking educationally, part of the new curriculum and the new Ofsted framework is the importance of getting children to recall and build on what they already know. So one of the best questions you can ask children as a mum, or dad, granny, whoever you are that's working with your children at home at the minute, big brothers and sisters often at the minute as well, is just to say, how do you know that? Well, how do you know that that's the times? How do you know? Who told you that that was an equal sign? Well, when did you learn that, do you think? And they'll go, well, I've always known it. And it just reminds them of all the different components that build up the learning that they're doing. That's just being a bit educational.
That's great. That's great. For me, I'm just thinking with what I'm doing, because Chloe just is kind of really anti doing a lot of work from school, which is fine. I say to her, do what you feel that you want to do right now. And I've actually kind of looked at with her what she really wants to learn, what she really wants to do, so that we can get her joy of learning going. So she wants to be creative. She wants to do art. She wants to kind of make things. She wants to learn electronics. So we've gone and got an electronics kit. So she's doing the literacy by reading and trying to understand and kind of make things work. She's doing kind of the science, and so there's lots blended in. I'm not really thinking too deeply about it, but I just on reflection, she's enjoying and wanting to do more because it's her choice of learning.
And that's exactly it. You think of a good old-fashioned comprehension exercise where you give a child a piece of writing and say, what word did the author use to show that the person was cross, for example. You saying to Chloe, right, Chloe, just research how that's going to work on the electronics, right? What was the main point in that? There's no difference.
Okay.
She's using a piece of text and she's finding the key information. So there's no difference to that, really. The only difference is she's then not going to put it into a full sentence in an answer. She's just going to say, oh, we need to put A to B or whatever. So, it's just, but I think just keep sort of, I say to Emma, my daughter-in-law, imagine that you're an alien, or say to your child, imagine I'm an alien, and you'll remember probably the alien song with the kids, Jackie, but we won't go there. But imagine you're an alien and you know nothing. So, I was getting Ollie to describe things he could see in his garden for me to guess what it was. So he was saying it's a gribbity green thing that jumps. It's a frog. So it's about them using language, but in a fun way, because he was obviously saying to his mum, Nanny will never get this one. And I was going, well, I can't work it out. So 2 things. One is really good for kids to see us to get things wrong and for us to fail and for us to not know stuff. But most importantly, the more that they regurgitate it, the more they'll learn.
That's amazing. You've been really inspirational. I knew you would be. That's why I was like, oh, Donna. But it's just so, I think for me, listening to you as a parent, you just feel like this weight's taken off you, that we don't have to educate them for 6 hours a day, because there's a group of 30 normally, and they're having to kind of work slower. And we can do that within an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then let them kind of have some exercise, get out, do things that they really want to do that are educational. My daughter doesn't go on social media, or anyone should really go on social media, but she doesn't get to talk to her friends until sort of 5 o'clock, because we're all doing that kind of time to do things. At the minute she's talking to a friend because we're on Easter holidays. I've given her that time to do that, to connect, because it's important. So
I think what you've got there, Jackie, and what's absolutely key in any family or whatever is boundaries. We can't let the boundaries go, seriously, because if we let the boundaries go completely, we'll never get them back. And parents are going to have a real battle when kids have to go back to school. Because, you know, all of us are in a different way of life at the minute, and there's many positives about that, as much as we're all struggling with it. But it's the boundaries are still there. So when you as a parent say no, it's got to be a no, whether that's for 2 minutes or 5 minutes, because the minute you lose that, you'll really struggle to pull that back. Says she that's brought up 5 boys.
You've had to have those boundaries. That's why you're still sane.
Well, I don't know about that.
Oh dear. Well, thank you. It's been brilliant. Really, really appreciate your time today. And I'm sure lots of people, I'm going to share this quite widely, because I think people will get so much out of this conversation. So thank you for your time.
Thanks, Jackie. Take care.
You're welcome. Bye.